Well met, stranger. You find yourself in the presence of the renowned wizarding prodigy, Gale of Waterdeep. Please, no need to be intimidated. My virtuosic talents once caught the eye of the goddess of magic herself, Mistra, who named me her chosen, and her lover. Thanks to a slight miscalculation on my part, that relationship eventually soured, as did the greatest of my powers. Now I'm merely a humble wizard on the road to redemption. Unless I can find the path to something greater.
Despite your recent fall from the Nautiloid, you are miraculously unharmed. Apart from the volatile orb of Netherese magic buried within your chest, of course. It stirs softly. Soon it will hunger, and when that time comes, it must be fed. Starve it, and you risk triggering a cataclysmic explosion of raw, unfettered weave. Such an explosion will be unavoidable if the tadpole in your skull triggers ceremorphosis. An outcome definitely best avoided. That great mind is little more than a playground for a parasite right now. The tadpole must be disposed of. According to what you've read, you have but 7 days to find a cure. Well, that's the end of you. Better get moving. Sleep is a hazy oasis on the far side of a desert of worry. You know exactly what this illithid parasite will do to you. Within 7 days, you'll become a mind flayer. But what about the bomb in your chest? Ceremorphosis is likely to destabilize it. What then? You imagine the explosion. Thousands will die. You have to stop it. Ceremorphosis and the orb itself. You'll need to drain magical energy from a powerful artifact soon. As you contemplate your hubris, your eyelids grow heavier and heavier.
Excuse me, Mr. Decarios! Mr. Decarios! Yoo-hoo! Destiny is at your door. Will you at least twitch the curtain? Well, it isn't the mother of all magic, lucky for you. You look terrible. Are you eating? No matter, Mr. Decarios. Tara's here now, and she'll sort you out. But first, my payment. That's it. No one manages the nuances quite like you. And are you, of course. The tower just isn't the same without you stomping about in the background. So here I am, come to reinsert myself. After all, remember what happened last time I let you out of sight? Of course you do. You're still paying the price with that ticking time bomb in your gullet. The indignity.
Nestled amongst your books and papers, Tara bore witness to your greatest triumphs and your greatest failure. You made yourself a walking cataclysm. The annihilation brewing within you just about held at bay by your constant consumption of magical objects. Tara saw it all, but never left your side.
Speaking of which, I brought you something for your tummy troubles.
A ring. coursing with magic. The Netherese orb within you shudders, longing to consume, to devour. It must be satisfied.
We have a great deal of catching up to do. Eat that, have a wash, and for the love of all that's dear, a shave. Then you can fill me in on what I've missed. Of course, Mr. Dicarios. What else are friends for? Now eat up. If you explode and kill us all, I'll be furious.
Yes, this shall suffice. Gale, my boy, I've come to address a most pressing matter. I'll speak as plainly as I can, forswearing the accustomed frills that decorate my speech. Mistra, the message and the charge I bring you are hers. You know where you went wrong, Gale. No, we needn't dwell on that here and now. But even so, you're to be given a chance of redemption. Mistra is aware of the misadventures that have befallen you both. She knows of your strife with the Absolute, that most insidious of evils. You must know that the Absolute is more dangerous than you can possibly conceive. It threatens all who live, even those who are undying. It threatens the gods, the weave, the very fabric of the universe itself. That is why I have come here to charge you, Gale, with its destruction. It is Mistra's belief that only you can. As you say, Mistra has granted me the power to stop the clock, as it were, on the orb's rush to overpower you. Instead, you will be able to unleash its lethal combustion at will. You must find the heart of the Absolute, whatever that may be, and use yourself as the catalyst that will burn it from this world. You could flee from Mistra's calling, live the life of a hermit once again, and succumb to the orb all the same. Only it will be a death without purpose. It brings me no pleasure saying this, my friend, but such is Mistra's will. Yours must be the sacrifice that will undo the Absolute. And for your sacrifice, you will be redeemed. Such is Mistra's promise. With that, I've said my sorry piece, and need only bestow unto thee the charm I was bid. My Nahastra, Mistra Riel, Italian, Tras Anastra. It is done. Both charge and charm have been committed into your care. Like moons make swell and wane the nescient seas, so too the sky-strewn gods ordain the tidal fates of mortal days. And yet, an ocean born in lonely hours, come ebb, come flow, come all that is beyond the breadth of our dominion, Be a moon unto yourself. Even the waves of fate can break upon the shores of will. Farewell, my friend.
Ah, Mr. Dekarios. You seem different. Better. What's the meaning of this? Don't be silly. What is it really? About time that old Bookerbone showed his face. I've been looking for him for precisely the reason you outline. No more pricey artifacts for you, then, is that it? Excellent. You were quickly becoming the most expensive pet in the realms. A slinking and a stalking, of course. This is a fascinating area of the realms. This cult of the Absolute is taking over like a bad rash. That parasite in your head seems to be quiet enough. Thank the gods. Attaboy. Keep doing what you're doing, then. We'll have this whole business sorted in no time. I'll be sure to let your mother know you'll be home before she knows it. For a nice long visit. There you are, Mr. Dekarios. I've been champing at the proverbial bit. I've something for you, a letter from Elminster himself. He was most insistent I give it to you immediately upon your return. One thing only, he gave the strictest instructions that this letter was for your eyes only. That being said, I'm sure he won't mind you indulging me with its subject matter once you've broken the seal.
The letter is written in Elminster's crabbed hand, and given his usual verbosity, is rather succinct.
I see remaining optimistic is my duty. Especially when I'm not the one being asked to do the seemingly impossible. Think carefully, exceedingly so. You know, Mistra, as do I. I was not born an old man. I am all too familiar with what it's like to have a goddess fill your heart with longing. If there is another way, I trust you can find it. It is not in your nature, or mine, to stop looking, to accept the first answer to any dilemma. Do what you can. Put that mind to work. Perhaps that should have been your mission right from the start.
Reading between Elminster's cramped lines, you can draw only one conclusion. He thinks you should defy Mistra's instruction and refuse to use the orb.
What is it, darling? You look rather pale. Aha! Mr. Ormar can always be relied upon to bring a dash of good sense to proceedings. A shame he didn't start with that, but still, I hope you plan to heed his advice. Carefully, though. He seemed rather fidgety when he delivered his message. Mistra will have both of you in her bad books before long.
Though the night is still, your heart feels quite the opposite. Elminster's letter has given you much to digest. Can it really be true? Does he believe Mistra's instruction is wrong? monster's life has been spent in unwavering service to Mystra. He worships her devoutly, as you once did. So why would he plant such doubts in you now? You finally appear to be winning back Mystra's favor, even her blessings. But appearances are not everything. And after all, she does not give without expecting in return. If the heart of the Absolute is within reach, it's not because of her intervention. It's because of your efforts, your struggle, your life being put on the line. Are you truly ready to sacrifice yourself for her? Mystra's fate is none of your concern. But you will not allow mortal innocence to die by the Absolute's hand. Not when it lies in your power to prevent it. If the orb is the only way to ensure victory, you'll have no choice but to use it. No longer a background murmur. The presence in your mind builds to a roar.
We've found it. The Absolute is behind this door.
The orb pulses strangely. It feels unsettled. The heart of the Absolute is close. As is the moment when you must decide if you will follow Mystra's orders or reject them.
You said it was under control.
It isn't you I answer to, Gortash.
Motherfucker! Gortash!
Oh, the general voice. Is this where we salute?
Salute, yes, with cleavers through his blood-starved flesh. How it crawls with failure, like flies on lick-wet carrion.
You forget yourself, Orin. I have played my part.
You built an army for our masters, true enough. But what of the astral prison? A rogue true soul flaunting it under your nose all this time, and you ran from him.
Sure that they would follow and deliver it into my hands here. If you would cease these distractions.
The distractions have been yours, Ketherick. Perhaps we never should have dug your daughter up. So you haven't lost your edge, but you're still not as sharp as Orrin, I wager. The Slayer against the Undying One. That'd be fun to see.
His crypt breath sings to my sinews again, 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 again. But he must lead the murder march to Baldur's grave.
If the weapon is truly in your grasp, Ketherick, might I suggest closing your fist? Orrin and I can wait for you no longer. The plan proceeds. We're going to the city, and we expect you to follow. Army and the weapon in tow. The Edict of Bane!
The lash of Thor!
Testament of Merkel!
An elder brain. One of the cruelest and most powerful creatures in existence. Enslaved by mere mortals.
The sight of the crown atop the Elder Brain strikes you like lightning. Never before have you beheld an artifact of such unrivaled power. You realized that it could change everything. Your own course, your own life, the destiny of worlds. But here, in this very moment, lies your chance to heed Mystra's call. This must be it. The end of the Absolute. The orb senses your hesitation. It shudders within you, longing for something. Though you cannot tell what, a prickling dread rises along your spine. You have disobeyed Mystra. Again. If you survive this, there will be consequences. The events of the last days weigh heavily upon you. Sleep's rest is slow to come to one whose mind is so full. The Absolute is not a god, but an elder brain controlled by the chosen of the Dead Three. They mean to use it to take control of the Sword Coast. All who carry the tadpole are governed by the brain, and by extension the chosen. It will take but one order to transform them into an army of mind flayers. This would have been your fate too, were it not for the astral prison and the mysterious visitor inside of it. With her help, you have uncovered the cult for what it really is. A plan of conquest orchestrated by the gods of death themselves. Together, you have the power to thwart the Dead Three. If you follow this path to its end, the Elder Brain will not answer to the Chosen. It will answer to you. That you remain alive is a failure to Mystra. But if you were to lay hands on that crown, might she have reason to forgive you then? Would you even need her forgiveness? And what of the true souls? Will you liberate them from their parasites and religious delusions? Or will you use the power for your own gain? Your blood swims hot at the very prospect. You will not have long to wait. All you need to do now is sleep. But sleep is not for you.
Hear me. The reckoning is upon us! The city thirsts for domination. March and join.
You should get some rest, but you simply can't. Every time you close your eyes, you see the brain. More importantly, what it possessed. An artifact. A crown. Positively reeking of Netherese magic. More than you ever felt before. More than you ever dreamed was possible. Karsus himself was said to have forged such a crown, though you've never known it spoken of as anything but myth. The shelves at Sorceress Sundries have been known to house the odd book on Netherese magic. It's time you paid them a visit, to learn the truth about the crown, and what it could yet be capable of. Crown of Karsus. You read of such an artifact, but always in veiled terms, couched in myth and rumor. Never as a reality. Could this truly be the crown you saw on the brain, surging with corrupted Netherese magic? If it is indeed Karsus' fabled creation, what else could it be capable of? This could be the answer to your prayers. A gift unlike any your goddess has been willing to give. The orb, the parasite, and now the crown. Netherese magic haunts you at every turn. It's time you understood its full potential. Sorceress Sundries must be your next port of call. If there is more to discover about Karsa's creations, their shelves are your best hope of finding it. And once you've learned his secrets, your prayers may finally be answered. A diary. These are the visions of Karsus himself, designs for the crown he hoped to forge, and the new form of magic he planned to create with it. It seems Raphael was telling you the truth. The crown you saw atop the Elder Brain is indeed of Karsus's making. Reunite the crown with the Dead Three's netherstones, and Karsus's design might yet be completed. You could wield the power of a god. Between you and the crown, there's the small matter of the Elder Brain to contend with. For now, whatever designs of your own with regards to the crown will have to wait. But not for long. It will be in your hands soon enough, and you have quite the decision to make.
Gale of Waterdeep, as I live and breathe. As do you, I'm glad to see. Tell me, what curiosities did you discover within the walls of this esteemed emporium? I have been pondering what exactly I should say to you. This was not a conversation we were ever supposed to have, my boy. Selfish it may be, but I won't deny my happiness that you exercised patience in this matter. And by now, you are surely aware of the evil we are up against. Karsus's pestilent crown. Perhaps now you understand what is at stake here, my boy. Though what Mr. asked of you was extreme, it was not without merit, nor demanded lightly. Mr. knows what I see in you, just as I know what she sees in you. I was not born an old man. I know all too well what it's like to have a goddess fill your heart with longing. She bids you come to her holy shrine in the Stormshore Tabernacle. There, she will grant you an audience at last. She was anything but idle. She chose you as her champion. A fine choice, too, I thought. Yet now, you threaten to prove otherwise. I assure you it will be very simple in the end. There is only success or failure. If you will not hear it from me, hear it from your goddess. What truths she has to offer are for your ears alone. Gale of Waterdeep. Godspeed.
Bless them with the strength to endure.
Just as Elminster promised, you stand before no ordinary idol. Beneath the silent stone surges a relentless current of purest weave. A summoning channel, the kind commanded by Mystra herself. How many times have you dreamed of this moment? An audience with the goddess who loved you, who abandoned you. All you have to do is reach for it.
You can do this, Gale. Standing up to a goddess is daunting, but you'll be glad once it's over.
Gale of Waterdeep. You look well. It always did. Though the ones we shared were far sweeter than those you've tasted recently. I've been watching your journey here. Your triumphs, your temptations, your doubts. You discovered what lies at the heart of the Absolute, the crown of Karsus. And you disobeyed my instruction. Why? And you believe you have the right to such an understanding? I hoped hindsight would help you see what you could not perceive before. Do you understand why I severed our connection? You were many things to me, but never a threat, and never a savior. The fragment of magic you tried to return to me was not of my creation. It was the Karsite Weave. It is a corrupted, half-born magic, wrought in the brief moment Karsus ascended to godhood. It hungers for power, just as he did, and it can never be sated. You unleashed something that would consume all magic in existence, and yet you thought only of preserving yourself. Such eddies are unexceptional. Souls arrive and depart your plane with every tide, in circumstances just and unjust. The weave cannot be lost because we are unwilling to cause a ripple. And that is what is at stake. The only reason the orb sleeps is because I have allowed it to feed on the true weave. A temporary measure, but one that will not be enough to save us. With each day that passes, the Elder Brain threatens to become a new kind of god. Its worshippers, a scourge of soulless illithids. If you will not use the orb to end this abomination, then you must find a way to separate crown and host. When you've done this, you must surrender the crown of Karsus to me. Perform this service, and I will see you cured. You will be forgiven. So be it. Follow the needle of your own wisdom. We shall see how truly it leads you.
Rebuilt. The crown is in the depths of the Chiontha. You will salvage the stones and reforge the crown. The power of Netheril in your hands at last. The Karsite weave palpates within you, stirred by the very prospect. Once the crown is restored, you could return it to Mystra, fulfilling her wishes and ridding the mortal world of such temptation. Or you could take control of it for yourself and become a god. Your allies' journeys may have ended with the Netherbrain's death, but yours has not. One way or another, you will have to reckon with your god. It's time to speak to Mystra.
So, Gale of Waterdeep, you have become the inheritor of Karsus's powers at last. Tell me, what do you intend to do with them? Spoken like the wizard you were meant to be. You do a great service here. Not only for your goddess, but for magic itself. It will never be forgotten. Nor will I forget you. Then you are free to go with both my thanks and my promise. Henceforth, your prayers will always be answered. Go, Gale of Waterdeep. Your life is your own at last. It's time you went and lived it.
Since the Netherbrain fell, you and Shadowheart have seen more of Faerun than you ever thought possible. She no longer shies from wolves or water. Nothing in the world frightens her anymore, and you feel you could face anything by her side. One day, you receive a letter passed to you by a stranger who bows with deference. An invitation to a gathering of the friends and allies who stood by your side in the fight against the Absolute. You waste no time in packing and set off on the long road back to where all of your adventures together began.
Well, Mr. Dicarios, here you are. Thought you'd have a night of revelry far from the loving supervision of your favorite Tressim, did you? Oh, really, sir? It can't be more than a week or two since I've visited. My cat flap of displacement has barely ceased swinging before I poke my whiskers through once more. Still, I'm very glad to see you too. I trust you're enjoying having abandoned your mother and I for adventures abroad. You're just trying to be hurtful now. One day, sir, I'll convince you to put your roots down back where they belong. Among your books, near your fire, in view of your dear friend, Tara. Until then, my suffering must continue. Have fun tonight, Mr. Dicarios, but not too much. There's a good fellow. Obviously. Ta-ta, darling.